on what that looks like.
Hey, Dave, Dave,
Yeah.
Dave. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this podcast, but anyway, it's cool. This is kind of not what I was expecting as a podcast. So,
Well, you
but it's
wanted
cool.
to.
We can
Okay.
carry on talking, but I'm not going to put it out. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything to talk about. We might as well get into it, really. I've got till about 9 o'clock, so just less than an hour. It's
Okay.
like 8 a.m. in the morning for me. So
All
what
right.
time is it for you?
It's 8 p.m.
Cool.
12 hours. That's weird. How does that work on a flat Earth? Let's go.
Exactly. Well, that's a good starting point because, yeah, where are you? I'm in Thailand, by the way. I'm in the north
Yeah.
of Thailand.
I'm in Mexico.
Okay.
So
You're in New Mexico.
no, I'm in Mexico, Mexico.
Mexico. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, why don't we start there? Talk me through that one.
Sure. So right here, this is my flat Earth clock app, and wherever the sun is, it's noon. So it's probably like 11 a.m. in Sydney, and soon it'll be noon. And if I called somebody in Sydney in an hour from now and said, "Where's the sun?" they'd say it's right over my head, and that shows you that it's noon and where the sun is. Right now, the sun's over the Tropic of Capricorn, which is this outer yellow line. So how do time zones work? Well, here's 24 time zones. Wherever the sun is, it's noon. So I'm here in Mexico and it's 8:10 p.m. and it's 8:10 a.m. for you. So you said you're in the Philippines. I think I know where the Philippines.
I'm in Thailand actually. I'm
Thailand.
looking on
Okay.
there to
All right.
see
So
if I can see where it is.
I'll tell you where it is. I'll tell you where it is, but I don't even know where it is. If I'm right here, you're 12 hours difference from me. So you're right here. You're right on this line, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? Time zones prove the earth is flat. You know what's funny?
Okay. Yeah.
You know time zones
funny.
You know how time zones work on a globe? On a globe? Do you?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you got the North Pole and the South Pole, right? And the North Pole, if you draw 24 lines from the North Pole to the South Pole, it divides the globe up like 24 sections of an orange, right? So if the sun is here and the globe is spinning, you have your time zones. Wherever the sun is, it's noon. Make sense?
Yeah. I understand that, but the thing that can. Yeah, but what about the poles? So what about the fact that there's areas where it's not going to get dark or light?
Well, that's because they say the Earth is tilted. We'll get there in a second, and that's very interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So they say the sun is so far away that the rays come in parallel, although no one's ever seen parallel rays. But if you follow this line down, this is one time zone. And what's funny is the time zones aren't tilted, but the Earth is tilted. So when the Earth is tilted, so here's the sun rays coming in, and they're crossing all these different time zones. Like if the sun was right here, it was noon right here. We're going through 1, 2, 3, 4 different time zones, almost 5 different time zones in one longitude, in one line. So how can that work? Because if it's 8 a.m. here, it should be 8 a.m. all the way around. But it's not, because the sun's coming in like this, crossing all these time zones. Time zones don't work on a globe, but it gets worse. It gets worse. Do you know that there's 19 time zones in the north, 24 time zones between the tropics, and 32 time zones in the outer south? How does that work on a globe?
Explain the outer south ones. You completely lost me. 24 time zones in the outer south.
So there's 24 time zones in the southern part of the world. So on the flat Earth, we got the North Pole at the center. And then the Tropic of Cancer is here. The Tropic of Capricorn is here. So this is the tropics, right? And there's 24 time zones there. That makes sense. It's in the center, right? And then out here, it gets so wide. They've divided it up into 32 time zones, but they never taught us that in school, right? But if you took that, let's say this whole thing was about this big, and we could wrap it around a basketball, right? If we wrapped it around a basketball, this edge would touch this edge at the bottom of the basketball, and this edge would touch this edge at the bottom of the basketball. But then you'd have the extra paper there, and you'd have to crinkle it all together to make it wrap around the ball. So all of that extra land is getting pushed into a little continent that they call Antarctica, when that's not what Antarctica is at all.
So do you? What do you? So you think Antarctica's around the outside? Do you?
I do. I think this is Antarctica.
Essentially.
So, have you ever seen a large body of water? When I say large body, I think anything bigger than let's just say a gallon, that's uncontained. Just a gallon of water, not contained. Like I have water in this jar,
Well,
but it's contained,
yeah, what do you
right?
mean not contained?
Not contained, like no
Like,
container, no container.
well, like in a lake, that's a. I mean,
No,
all
that's the
water's
lake is a
contained.
container. What holds the
I
water in the
mean,
lake? The shoreline is higher than the water. If you lowered the shoreline below the water, lower than the water wouldn't be contained and it would flow outwards, right? So we can
yeah,
agree.
yeah.
Once you understand, you can't have water without containment. You can, but it's just
Okay.
spreading all over the place. People say, "What about a puddle?" Well, the edge of a puddle is higher than the surface of the puddle. That's it.
Yeah,
That's
fair
containment. A
enough.
bathtub is containment. A lake is containment. They want you to believe that the globe can contain water on the outside. And it gets worse.
But
The Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. So wouldn't all the water go to the equator?
yeah, but hang on a minute. God, this is like mental. Like,
Yeah.
well, no, I mean, this is mental. Like when you say the Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles, I mean, that is relative to the Earth, but that's not if you're
Relative to
sitting
a
out in
point in space.
space.
If you were
Yeah,
on a
which
stationary
is
point in space
the
and over the equator, the equator would be going by at 1,000 miles an hour. That's faster than the
sure,
speed of
yeah,
sound.
yeah, but that's because I mean, on Earth you have you have friction, you have atmosphere. I mean, that's completely different to being in space
Well,
and
I'm not talking about
calculating
that. I'm
that
talking
speed.
about being on Earth, right? And we're
Yeah, yeah.
spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. Now, people will say that what you're trained to say, what we're programmed to say is, well, I can fly on an airplane and I don't feel the motion. I think you do. But if you want to compare the motion of the airplane to the spin of the Earth, you have to double the speed of the airplane, right? And even if you double the speed of the airplane, you would still be just as comfortable as you were at 500 miles an hour. You're going 1,000 miles an hour now. But then to compare it to the Earth, you have to take off the outer shell that's containing the air in the airplane because there's no outer shell on the Earth, right? So you take off the outer shell on the airplane, but now you're going without a top, without containment, straight at 1,000 miles an hour. But the Earth
Okay,
curve. Hold on, let me just
let's
finish.
go.
Let me just finish. The
Yeah.
Earth curves, so you're going in a curved trajectory. So the plane has to nosedive at a mile per minute just to follow the curve of the Earth at that speed. Do you think you'd feel that?
I mean, but of course you wouldn't know. The
Of
what do
course
you
you
mean
wouldn't.
the plane has to follow the curve of the Earth. I mean,
If this is the Earth right here, if this was a
yeah.
ball, and I'm on a plane, if I don't start nosing down, I'm going to fly right off into space.
Well, I mean, that's not. I mean, firstly, I'm not a pilot, but a plane obviously calculates distance from the Earth and altitude based on curvature anyway, right? So
No, it doesn't.
it's
It's a. Do you know how planes stay level?
it,
You know what
I
a
mean,
gyro is? You know what a gyro is?
yeah, yeah.
So a gyro, the pilot spins up the gyro on a 3-axis gimbal and it holds rigidity in space. If this is the gyro and this is the plane can turn left, it can turn right, it can go down and up, but the gyro will always stay in the same orientation that it was spun up with. So as you're flying over the ball, the gyro is going to stay level and it's not going to go like this. The gyro is going to stay level and go around like this. So this type of flight is impossible. It's totally
So
impossible.
Dave, I
Yep.
want to do this podcast because I want to ask you some simple questions. I'm not a
Sure.
scientist, and you
Right.
have your own version of science based on the flat Earth. I mean, actually, let's just go back to the water because you jumped
Sure.
through a lot of different subjects.
Okay.
So you're talking about water containment. So I think the point you're making is you're saying it doesn't make sense that water is contained on the is that what you're saying? I mean, you were describing water containment anyway. I mean, I can't think of a situation where water isn't contained
That,
anyway.
that was my
within.
point. You have to have containment with water. So how do you have water on the outside of a ball that's spinning in a space vacuum?
So what you're saying, so you think the water should just fall off into space, is what
Why
you're saying,
wouldn't
right?
it? What holds it on?
Well,
Gravity.
so therefore we're getting into things. Yeah. So then you're getting into. So I suppose I'm trying to understand the thinking here is. So I've got to completely change my thinking. So forget
Yeah.
the Earth is round. Let me assume the Earth is flat. So because I'd rather go that way than trying to. I'm not a
Sure.
scientist, and I don't want to start arguing about
Yeah.
gravity.
No. We don't. We're not going to argue.
Like,
We're going to discuss things that you never really thought about. That's all.
but if But if I was a scientist, I probably would argue that now I can, because if I talk to you about, yeah, why gravity, and why the water would not fall off the earth, we're going to get into a silly conversation and
Well, I
go
have
back and forth.
answers, but
What I,
well, I'll answer whatever you like.
well, no, yeah, what I'd rather ask. So I want to understand. So you believe, firstly, you believe the earth is flat. It's sitting in what? In a,
That's not true. I
oh,
know the earth is I know the earth is flat. I don't you believe it's a ball, but you don't have a single reason why.
so, so you know it's flat. I mean, how do you
I,
know it's flat?
because we went out and tested it. We've measured it. We looked at actual science. We're not science deniers. We actually don't accept pseudoscience, and that's all the globe
So,
has is pure pseudoscience. I'm going to keep my answers very short. You can just wait until I finish, and then you can talk anytime you want. But I'll keep them as short as possible. All right?
well, I mean, firstly, if the Earth is flat, it would be pretty easy actually just to grab a telescope and go and
Mhm.
look in a number of places at sit. Without looking at your map, I can't remember what faces where in terms of the geography, but geographically, there would be a lot of places on the Earth where you'd be able to go to the beach, or
Mhm.
maybe just and grab a telescope and look at New York City, for example. What's opposite New York City on your
You could
map?
say
On the
London, whatever, Europe,
Well,
but
no, not no,
or
because London, you
Africa.
might
Yeah.
because you
It-
believe in hills. I'm talking about a city that's on the coastline, right?
yeah.
I
So
mean,
here's the problem with that. Do you know what light attenuation is? If you
no, I
don't,
don't
it's okay.
know.
Light attenuation
Yeah.
is light gets absorbed into the medium that it's going through. So if you're in a crystal clear swimming pool, but it's 100 yards long, you can't see the wall on the other side because the light coming off that wall can't push through the water, right? So you're just going to see what we would call sky, but you're just seeing water, right? You're not seeing if there was a smiley face on the far end of the pool, you wouldn't see it because the light that's coming off with that image, you can't see it.
Okay,
So
so
let,
so how high up would you have to go to put a telescope and just pretty much prove this really easily? I mean, you're saying you don't need to prove it, but there'd be a number of points on your map where
why
you
would
could
we need to
literally
go
grab.
higher?
Well,
I don't,
because you're
I don't
saying that you couldn't look across a pool at a light, right?
No, I'm saying that the light can't push through the water. I have a perfect example here, and let me explain.
But
So
I don't. Yeah, but I want you to. I don't want to use your examples because you've probably used them a million times. I want to use some examples where. So if you're look, so 2 points on your map. Have you got your map handy? Have you got your?
ask your question.
So 2 points. So what is up on your map? What is opposite New York City?
Well, it
As
doesn't
in,
matter. You can't
if you're
see that
looking out,
far. You can't see that far.
if you have a telescope, you can.
You
Why
cannot.
not?
I'm going to explain it to you when you're ready.
So you're saying a telescope cannot see. I mean, the problem is
Can
I'm
a,
now having to think
can,
that
can a
flat
telescope
Earth
see through a
environment.
wall? Can it tell us? It doesn't matter, flat Earth or globe Earth. It's the same thing. Light
Yeah, yeah.
attenuate. Light attenuation stops you from seeing infinitely far, along with perspective and other things.
But
So
it's not infinite, right? I mean,
well,
that's
when I say infinitely far, how about really far or even semi far? Because you can't see that far. I'm going to give you an example right here.
I'm just talking seeing further than what we think the horizon is. I mean, it's even
How
not even
far is
that
the
far.
horizon for a 6 foot tall person standing next to perfectly calm water on a clear day?
I don't know. What is it? 27 miles or something? I
Three
can't remember.
miles.
Is it only 3 miles? Is it?
Well, that's what they say because there's 6 feet
Yeah.
of curvature. So you should not be able to see anything beyond 3 miles that's on the water.
I thought I thought the horizon was further than that. I mean, I've watched boats drop off the horizon. I know
Well,
you.
when you've watched boats drop off the horizon, how far were
Yeah.
they?
Well, I don't know. I didn't measure it, but
Okay. Well,
so,
we have, and we can show you these measurements. But first, let me show you. Here's the thing: belief is the enemy of knowing. Right? You can believe anything you want. You can ask as many questions as you want, but unless you're willing to hear the answers and learn new information, your belief is just going to be stuck. So, you think that you should be able to see Paris from New York or whatever is directly across. When you have to understand that light doesn't go that far. This viewer right here is in Aluja, France, and they're up on a hill, and they're looking out here, and this is the horizon, the horizontal eye zone, the horizon, right? Comes from horizontal. And out here is Mount Canigou, and you can't see it because it's 175 miles away. Now, if I turned off all the lights in this room, you wouldn't be able to see me, right? Because there's no light bouncing off of me. So the sun is in the sky and the light is bouncing off of Mount Canigou and you can't see it. That's the flat earth explanation. And I'm going to show you. And then the globe explanation is, well, 175 miles away from this altitude at that distance, the top of Mount Canigou, the highest point, should be well over a half a mile below a physical curve. So you can't see it because it's behind the curve. But twice a year, the sun lines up with this viewer and Mount Canigou. And as the sun moves away, the sun's light is much brighter and it can push through 175 miles. And when it does, it backlights the mountain and you can see the whole mountain. The top of this mountain should be over a half a mile below the curve, but there it is. And a minute ago, we couldn't see it because of light attenuation. But this is a much more powerful light. And when it goes beyond, it backlights it. The global explanation for this is the sun has already set, but it's refracting up. And the mountain that has no light on it is refracting up and blocking the sun. And the reason you can't figure that out is not because you're stupid, it's stupid. Okay. Everything about the heliocentrism is really stupid, but people are afraid to look and go, you know what? That is stupid. Why did I ever believe it? So there's your light attenuation. That's why you can't see infinitely far. And the sky becomes so opaque at a point where even if you had the Hubble telescope, you can't see through something that's opaque and things will just be lost into the horizon. So when you say you saw a boat go over the horizon, here is when the sky and the ground come together, and that when you can't see any farther anymore, and you can't discern the distance, that's your horizon in between my hands. But if you zoom in, you can open it up, and then you can see farther, and you'd have to do that again. So here's a horizon, and we're zooming in. You can't see a boat out here. You can't see a boat out here, but if you watch right here, all of a sudden a boat will appear right there. And we're zooming in on this boat. And it's not over the horizon, because if it was, I would be looking at water. So if my finger was a wave, it really can't hide that boat unless that little wave was closer. And if you watch, the boat looks like it's going down. It looks like it's going over the horizon, but it's just the way we see. And at one point, its angular size becomes too small and you think it went over the horizon. But if it did, I wouldn't be able to zoom it back in again. We have hundreds of examples of like this. Hundreds. And then we have, okay. Go ahead. Your turn.
No, nothing. It's just not, I've seen, I don't want to sit here. I want to try to debunk examples of this. I could get on the internet. I'm sure I could, we could do the debunking both ways.
It's not a debunking thing. You said, why can't we see Paris? And I explained to you why. And then you said you saw a boat go over the horizon. And I showed you that you can't see a boat go over the horizon. Those boats should be over the horizon, but they're not. We have, and you asked how high we can go. We have a guy.
But you're giving me like images, anecdotal evidence. There's
anecdotal evidence.
Well, yeah, I mean, you could do this both ways, right? You could show shots both ways. I don't have them on hand. I'm not,
So
I'm not here to
tell me how this is anecdotal. We have a camera that's a foot off the water, and here's two platforms, 9.4 miles away and 6.2 miles away. It doesn't seem like very far, but from that altitude, from a foot, this one should be behind 59 feet of curvature. Not only can we see the whole thing with a little bit of distortion in the air because the air is kind of thick, we can see the surface of the water way beyond it. 59 feet of that platform should be gone according to globe math.
Amazing. Okay.
It is amazing, isn't it? Welcome to Flat Earth.
How did you get into this?
I said it was the dumbest thing ever, and I banned people from listening to our podcast because they were suggesting that the Earth is flat. And then finally, my friend Sophia Smallstorm, another researcher, says, Dave, you have to look into this. And I went into it trying to debunk it. I didn't even have an open mind. I said, this is stupid. I'm just going to debunk it and be done with this. And the more I researched, the more I tried to debunk it, the more evidence I found that it was real. And then I really came to the point where there's nothing there. I don't want to say there's nothing that can convince me that the Earth is a globe, but there is no physical evidence. I'm so positive. I offer 3 Bitcoins for 1 globe proof, and so far no one's gotten it.
What about the guy that just went to Antarctica and kind of was sitting there going, like, do you think is that a fake video? I mean, I just watched that.
Well, it doesn't matter whether it was a fake sun or a real sun. The light in the sky, the movement of the light in the sky has no dictation over the shape of the Earth, right? Think about this. And also,
but on your map, there's not a point where it stays light all day, right?
Yeah, there is.
There is there? I thought there wasn't. So so where is light all day on your map?
Well, in the north, in June, there's light all day, because the sun, when the sun comes all the way in to here, its light goes past the center or very close to the center. So it, like Alaska, where's Alaska? Alaska here will be in daylight.
I'm not looking at your map, by the way. Do you
Oh,
think
I'm
looking
sorry.
at your
My
map?
bad. My bad.
Oh,
There you go. Sorry. So when the sun moves in June, it'll be over the Tropic of Cancer, right? So the light will, here, I'll actually show you in June. So I'll put that on and jump forward. Hold on a second. Flip over and jump. What are we at? January, February, March, April, May, June. So in June, when the sun's in here, now this is just, see how the light goes past the center a little bit? It goes past the center. So the sun never gets too far away from Norway and Alaska. And so it's in light for all of June and, in July and August. The light will
yeah, but
never.
you're still, but isn't your Antarctica on the other side now? I'm
No,
confused.
Antarctica's out here. This
Right.
is the Arctic because the sun is arcing around it. And this is the Antarctic because the sun is antarcing. Go ahead.
So there's no point at which Antarctica is light all day, right?
Well, no, there's a thing called the coffee cup caustic, which is a little more advanced. I don't think we're ready for it on this podcast. But if we lived in a toroidal system, a domed system, whether it's a real dome or just a toroidal field, as the sun goes outwards, that light wraps around, and it creates a 24 hours of day, of daylight on the outside. Let me think, is this it? So this is the going through the course of a year. And if you watch, when the sun goes out, its light wraps around. This is time and date. So this is in December. You see how the light goes all the way around. So if this is Antarctica, it's going to have daylight all 24/7 or whatever, 24 hours a day. And then we're just showing you a dome here moving a light lightly in and out, and it's kind of mimicking the exact same patterns. So that's one way it could work.
I quite understand that, but anyway.
Well, that's the issue. Let me show you something that
contradicts your other map, though. Hang on.
No, it doesn't at all. It doesn't at all. So this is the best map that we have. It's a map that's used for navigation. It's called the Gleason's map, right? So let me ask you a question. If you had a single globe in a dark room and a single source light, we'll call it a sun on the other side of the room, what percentage of that ball, that globe, could that light up?
Oh, man,
or does it light up?
Trying to take me back to school. So if I had a globe in a room and I put a torch on it, you mean, right?
Yeah, if you had a torch, 10, 20 feet away, whatever. And so the light's going towards the globe. It can only light up how much of the globe? Half, exactly. If you spun it or twisted it, it's only half all the time, always half, correct? Correct.
Yes.
That's physical. That's something you can do and test. And that's a scientific experiment. You could say, okay, a single source light, the sun, can only light up half of a globe. Right. But this is from the Weather Channel. They're saying all of this, this is like 70% of the planet was lit on that day. So let's take a look at that. This is on what day was this? It said. So on August 13th, let me just move over. This is a Mercator map. This is showing that California is just about at sunrise, and all of South America is in the light. All of this is in the light. The only thing in the dark is Australia and these islands over here. Okay. So this is the only thing that's in the dark at this time when the sun is right here over Africa. So let's take a look on what that looks like.
Hey, Dave, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this podcast, but anyway, it's cool. This is kind of not what I was expecting as a podcast. So,
well, you wanted to.
Okay. We can carry on talking, but I'm not going to put it out. This is a lesson in flat Earth, which is interesting, but it's kind of. I could go to your YouTube channel, and I think probably view this a load of times, mate, which is cool. So if you can, I can't seem to access this UI. Anyway.
So you want to believe in the globe and ask questions, but not hear the answers?
No, I didn't. I wanted to understand. I wanted to do a podcast, understand your thinking, where it comes from. I mean, this is not.
This is where it comes from. We looked at evidence. We actually looked at evidence.
But now I'd have to go away, and I haven't got time to go away and look into this evidence. I mean, you're just telling me on. I mean,
But I've done the work for you. I've done the work for
Well,
you.
but you haven't. I mean, I would need to go and I would need to go and actually pull this apart and understand it and come back and either go, yeah, you're
That
right, or
takes
you're
time
wrong.
and effort. People don't want to do that.
Yeah,
That's the
exactly.
problem. That's what the problem with
Well,
the world is. People are just stuck in their belief
but
systems
the,
and
but
don't
the,
want to look at any
but
new
it's not that
information.
people are stuck in their belief system. I mean, there's millions of other things that are ramifications of this that people like the fact that I use my phone every day and there are
What does your phone have to do
supposedly
with the
sad.
shape of the earth?
Well, how do you think there are satellites out there? How do you think GPS
Do
works?
you know that your phone
Like,
doesn't use satellites? They don't even claim your phone uses satellites. It uses
but,
underwater sea cables. Okay.
but
99% of the world's transmissions go on underwater fiber optic cables. And you believe it's satellites, but satellites don't exist. I could show you that they don't exist.
so,
I can
so,
prove
so I
that they
suppose
don't
that,
exist.
so what, no, so my question is, so you've got, I don't think it's like you got what, I think there's eight or so huge companies in the space race satellite wise, right? So you believe every single one of those companies is
What,
made up and lying,
what
and the
companies?
money that well, all the companies that develop satellites, right? So,
Mm.
you know, the companies that put satellites. So what do you believe is going on there?
Well,
Like, are they just
there's lots of companies
like?
that want satellites and they hire like NASA or SpaceX to put up satellites, and they're probably just getting scammed, and they're getting they're getting their transmissions done other ways, and they don't understand it. To understand what a satellite is and how it orbits the Earth and what an orbit is, it actually takes you have to take the time and think about it. And once you see and understand it, you realize that it's totally impossible. You know about
So,
satelloons?
so let's just say for a minute it is impossible. So all the
Mm-hmm.
VCs that are pumping money into, there's a number of companies in that list. There's not just
Mm-hmm.
SpaceX are obviously well known and big. There's another one I forget their name, but there's like six or seven I think that are kind of competing for that market. It is a big market. There's a lot of money. There's hundreds of thousands of people working in these. So is that all just a made up thing? Like, for
Yes.
these are the things that okay, so and how does that work? Like, how do these people
How does what work?
like how do they collaborate to come up with this story, and who backs the how does the economics work? So, like, they're just making up monetary systems to finance ridiculous like businesses that aren't real. Like the ramifications of the Earth being flat for me are not about looking at the sun across the water, or they're more about the amount of knock-on effect within, say, the business sector. I mean,
You know that
you could
space
spend
is bigger than all sports combined, all music, concerts, album sales,
spaces.
no, the space industry. Yeah, and I'm not done. The gaming, and it's
Yeah,
more all the gaming, all the sports, all the music, all of that, and all of Hollywood, all movies combined, it doesn't add up to what the space budget is.
you're talking about NASA budget, or you're talking about all the businesses
all
in.
all of it all of that together doesn't add up to the worldwide space industry is a way to fleece citizens from their own money and
Yeah,
and
but it's
and
not.
and also
But
keep
it's
them
not.
in a
But
belief
it's not.
system that keeps
But
them
it's.
separated from the creator.
But but it's not fleecing citizens. I mean, the
Yes, it
money
is.
that goes. Well, no, because the money you just talked about would be coming from. Are you thinking that venture capitalist firms are that dumb that they would just give money to space companies that are investing in, say, new satellite technology? Like, that's not Joe
They
Blogs on
make
the
money.
street. I
They can make
mean,
money. They can invest in whatever, and they can make money. It doesn't
but
make it
how
real.
how can you possibly make money if, let's say, okay, I start a business tomorrow, I develop, I'm going to put, small satellites into low Earth orbit for whatever technology reason it is for a certain business sector. There's massive investments that would happen around that. So to fabricate all of this, assuming the satellites aren't real, what do you believe, satellites aren't real, or do you believe they operate in a different way, or you just believe the whole thing's made up?
A little bit of both, right? Like let's say
Yeah.
let's say a Sirius satellite company, let's say they're not in on it. I don't know if they are or not. And they want to
Mm.
broadcast all across America. And NASA goes, we can put satellites into space for you that'll stay geosynchronous over the Earth while the Earth is corkscrewing through space at ridiculous speeds, that they'll just hover over the Earth, over the United States and give you service. And we're going to charge you, $400 million per satellite and or whatever. And so they cough up that money, and then the NASA just hooks them up with ground technology, GPS, ground positioning system, and they are able to do all of this based over land-based towers. right? That
Yeah.
that or they're using airplanes. Airplanes have electrical systems. They're everywhere in the sky over North America, especially. They know exactly where they are, and they have a Wi-Fi and transmitting equipment on them. So if you
I
want to,
mean, have you ever run a business?
yeah, I have my own business.
So I mean, if I just I did a quick look, there's 10,000 companies in space related technology, right? I don't know how many employees. The difficulty in trying to manipulate what you're doing right the way through, because I'm assuming it would have to be the board would have to know it was a lie, right? And the CEO would have to know it was a lie, but maybe the employees don't. I mean,
Yeah.
if I'm a product manager inside a company like that, I couldn't design things based on a flat versus globe Earth or vice versa. So I'd have to be doing something, right? So
Let me ask you a question. Have you flown on an airplane recently?
yeah, I have. But okay, yeah, I've flown an airplane.
Let me just
I've always
let me
flown
ask you this
airplanes.
question. I mean, if you don't want to do this, we can end the
Yeah,
conversation. So, and you have Wi-Fi on the plane, right?
yeah, occasionally.
All
Yeah,
right, so you can communicate with people on the ground because they say the airplane's here, you got your towers, and as the airplane moves, it just goes from tower to tower, just like when you're driving, right? But when they're telling you that you're using satellites, and this is a message that pops up on your phone, let people know you're available via satellite. So they want you to believe that this is not the scale, of course. This is a little better.
yeah.
So you got a satellite up
Yeah.
here. Right, you got the airplane here. So your phone is in airplane mode. You connect to their Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
They send it up to a tin can that's hovering above the earth, and it sends it back down to a tower. Does that make any sense to you?
So I mean, I don't see why it doesn't have to make sense, but I don't know honestly, why would it go back down to a tower? Sorry.
Because
that's the
claim.
On the ground,
that's the claim.
Saying.
That is the claim.
What?
The claim is that you're connecting to a satellite, and the satellite's connecting to a tower on Earth.
Why is that so unbelievable?
Because why would it send it to something that doesn't have a power source, that's a tin can floating in space, never gets serviced or anything? Where's it getting its power from? And why wouldn't it just transmit it to a tower?
Well, I mean, I suppose the answers to those questions are I would have to go and research exactly how satellite power works, how they
operate.
It for
you.
I'm assuming, well, most of them would work on solar, presumably, and that's why they have panels and
Yeah.
pretty easy when you're outside the atmosphere.
What my business was? My business was a solar power business, right? So I know a lot about solar power. So there's zero.
Why is it so unbelievable to think that you could get solar power on a satellite then?
Because there's many issues. One, how you have to ground it. How do you ground it in space, right? Let's say they found a way to drag a wire through space and ground it to the no atmosphere in space, which is crazy. But let's just pretend they could. The amount of solar panels on these satellites is tiny. You wouldn't be able to charge your cell phone with them, right? But they're either in space, the sun's more direct, whatever. Maybe you can charge your cell phone, but you can send hundreds of thousands of calls and television signals and everything else through these satellites. It's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense when you look into it. The problem is when you say, I can't imagine, then you can't imagine. Right. But when you understand how it works.
Did I say, well, probably did say, I can't imagine that half the world is working together and well, I suppose
all the world's working together. Yeah, they divide us by countries.
Why have I not been told? So how do you get into the club that is telling the secrets?
Well, maybe you become a Freemason or something. I don't know. I'm not in the club, so I don't know.
But that club would have to be. What I'm saying, I suppose, is that club would have to be way bigger than a few thousand people.
It is.
I mean, the ramifications of. Let me ask some other completely outside of the scope. But by the way, I don't mean to seem disrespectful on your. The way to approach this with you, I realize, would be send me 10 things that you're going to talk about so I could come in and talk about them with you.
I'm talking about the things that you're bringing up. I'm not telling you what I'm talking about. You're bringing up each one of these topics.
I'm talking about before that point in time. I'm just saying. I know
what's the difference? I'm letting you bring up whatever you want to bring up, and I've done that before. When we have 10 things, after the first one, it takes a left-hand turn, and they bring up other things. So it's pointless to do that. Your point is you could bring up whatever you like.
What did I just say?
You could bring up whatever you like. You wanted me to give you a list of things to talk about. I don't know what you want to talk about.
No. Jared, Jesus, man. I was saying, I didn't mean to be disrespectful about 10 minutes ago to cut you off from your flow. What I was saying is the way to approach that, and we could even do it in the future, would be to me to understand the 10 things Because actually, every podcast I've done is actually about me learning about the person. Coming into this, I realized within about 2 minutes, you wanted to teach me about flat Earth,
You
which is
could have
also
asked
fine.
me about me.
Yeah,
You could have, but you asked me
I,
about why can't I see Paris from New York? So I answered it. You asked
I
me
asked you
why
that. Hey,
about
hey,
boats over the horizon.
I asked you that at a point where I'd given up trying to ask you any questions because just to stop you in flow. But anyway, I could. I mean, let's ask about you then. So, I mean, I started asking that. How you actually? Here's a question. So, is there a religious angle to this? Because it feels very dogmatic in terms of how it is. I mean, there's no, or is it not? Is it religious connected in terms of the belief system?
Not well. I wouldn't. I'd say any group of people. You have a large group of people. There's going to be a lot of different religions in there. There's a lot of Christians in this world, so there are a lot of Christians in here, and they base some of their flat Earth understanding on the Bible. But I would never do that because if you believe
Mm.
that the Earth is flat because of the Bible, that excludes everybody that doesn't believe in the Bible. But science,
Yeah, fair enough.
actual science is applies to everybody. And then when you're done pointing out the scientific proof, we can see too far. You can't have gas pressure without a container. Water at rest always lies flat. When you're done with that, you can point to the Bible and say it also says it in the Bible or the
Yeah,
Quran.
right. Okay.
They're all flat Earth books.
I don't remember that. I've read the Bible a lot,
Okay,
but I was
so
a kid.
page
So
one,
it was
page
a
one.
long time,
God
a long time
separated the
ago.
waters from the waters and created the firmament. Page one.
And it says the earth is flat.
It says God separated the waters from the waters and created the firmament and made it like a tent. Right? It created
Yeah.
the firmament. The firmament is the sky, is the barrier that holds the waters above from the waters below. As above, so below.
But that doesn't, that could be round or flat, right? Or
No,
not?
how so? I mean, if you want to say it's round or flat, there's nothing in the Bible that
Yeah.
says the earth is round or a planet. In Isaiah, it says the circle of the earth. You know the definition of a circle? It's not a
The
sphere.
definite.
The definition of a
No,
circle is a
correct.
line on a flat plane, which is a flat surface, where all the points in that line are equidistant from a center point. That's a circle. It's not a sphere.
Hmm. What else do you believe is out there apart from the earth? I mean,
Out
that's when I
where?
say out there,
Out
out there
where?
beyond. Sorry, when you look up, what else is there?
Well, again, I have lots of theories on what's
Yeah.
beyond Antarctica across the plane, but above us, I think that it's water. Well, I don't know what's above there because you can't go up there and touch it. You really only can have a theory. And there's lots of stories, lots of evidence that there's more land beyond Antarctica. You know, our world leaders go to Antarctica at the strangest times, disappear for a couple of days, then come back and go home, and they never tell you what they did.
So you believe maybe there's something on the out. So
I
we could be
mean,
just could be something on the outside of that. You reckon?
again, we don't know, and and anything beyond where we're allowed to go, no one's allowed to independently, freely explore Antarctica. But you know, if
That's
this is
bullshit, man. I'm sure
anyone
you
is
can. There are. I thought I just maybe I'm dreaming this. I thought I
no,
just saw these guys just did a trip there, right?
did you hear what I said? Freely and independently explore Antarctica. That was a very controlled trip to a very specific location,
Okay.
and there's no
Okay.
free and independent exploration. So this pink line is 60 degrees south, and no one's allowed to independently go out there without millions of dollars worth of permits, right? This is just speculation. This is just,
Yeah. I
right.
understand. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there could be more land out here, right? If that's more land, extra territory, and somebody lived out there and they came to visit us, they'd be an extraterrestrial from the extra territory in the outer
Okay.
space.
But when you're looking up, and do you think up is up? That's the other thing I find. I mean, for me, believing the Earth is a globe, right? Then up and down is quite easy to actually think about because,
How so?
well, because if you're on a flat Earth, then what is up relative to? Because you don't know what's on the outside of that. Whereas if I
So
think if the Earth is round, then it's kind of
here,
you know
let me make it
you
easy for you. Down is down for everybody. It's the same. Somebody in Australia, somebody in South America, they're not upside
well
down
that
to
well
people in
that's
the
the
north.
same. Well, that's the same as on a globe. I mean, down is down to
No, it's
everybody
not.
because
So this is
of
down.
course it
Down
is.
is
Of course it
no,
is.
no. This is a globe, right? Down is
Well, hang
this
on a
way
minute.
for that person.
You are
Down is this way for that person. Down is that way for that person. These people are standing antipodal to each other. This guy is sideways. The earth is spinning. So
no. It's only sideways because you're looking at it because of the way you're looking at it, right? Like
no. Well,
Of
everyone,
course.
you're at the top of the ball. Everyone is at the top of their ball, right? But
Exactly.
think
Yeah, yeah,
about
yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah.
So when you spin something, everything goes to the equator. So this guy would be spun and he'd be lighter because he's being thrown outwards. This guy would be kind of pushed over. He'd be tipping over. He'd be tipping over
Yeah.
a little bit, right? This guy would just be pirouetting around. This guy would be pirouetting
Hang
around,
on. So,
right?
sorry, lost me. You lost me. You lost me.
Well, if
Sorry, go on.
the Earth is spinning on an axis, the guys at the poles would just be spinning around like ballerinas. This guy would be moving
Why?
out because the Earth is spinning on an
Yeah,
axis, and he's standing on
but
on the top of that
but,
axis.
yeah, but the Earth is spinning with the atmosphere around it. It's not the Earth
Wait,
is
what's holding
spinning.
the atmosphere to the Earth? Can you show me
Uh,
any example of an atmosphere being uncontained next to a vacuum? Do you need me to
can I
explain
show you
that?
any example of
Of
an
high
atmosphere?
pressure air. Like if I had a box of air and I was in a
But
and I was
now,
in a
but now
room.
you want, but now you want to use examples on the Earth to demonstrate how the Earth operates in space, right? Is that what you're asking me to do? Which,
so if,
now, of
so
course, and of course, I can't prove to you gravity. I can't prove to you, none of these things. So,
right.
to
Do you
be
know that
honest,
nobody can prove gravity?
So,
Nobody can.
no, so
It's a theory.
of course, I understand that. So there are certain things you kind of have to get to the point where. So I suppose, yeah, there's certain things where you have to say, well, there are theories and there are provable
Yeah.
things, but there's also, yeah. So I mean, I
So
can't prove
we can
gravity to
prove
you.
electrostatics and the gravitational scientists say that electrostatics is 10 to the 36 power stronger than gravity. You can't even fathom what that number is. How can
Yeah,
electrostatics, which is testable and provable scientifically, could be 10 to the 36 power stronger than gravity, and then you believe that gravity's holding us down when I could prove electrostatics are doing it?
electrostatics are holding us down, but what? Okay, but on your version of a flat Earth, why do you need holding down?
Well, because buoyancy and density do hold us down, but what determines the downward direction?
Yeah, that was the beginning of this. What I was trying to get to,
Yeah.
like in your mind, what determines the downward direction?
So the Earth has a neutral or negative charge to it, and it's considered a Gaussian surface, and the sky is a positive Gaussian surface. It has a positive charge.
Mhm.
So anything in the air is now positively charged, and when you drop it, it goes down because the electrostatic flow is downwards. It's the buoyancy and density that sort everything else out. If I had a helium balloon, it would go up.
So I suppose the problem with my thinking is that I will just take faith in scientists, and what you're saying is all scientists are wrong, and
No,
flat
not
earthers
all.
have their own science. Well, the stuff that you're kind of talking scientifically about how the flat Earth works. Is there a science community around the flat Earth community that
Sure, lots of
like are there
scientists. We have
are
engineers,
there
we have scientists. But again, what's a
uh,
scientist? If I wrote the book of bullshit and you studied it and I tested you on it, you got 100. I can give you a diploma, and then when you talk bullshit with your friends, they can't question you because they don't
yeah,
have
I
a
mean
degree. You have it.
I
So
I
how do you
totally
become a
I,
scientist? How do you become
I
a
agree.
teacher or professor? You memorize and regurgitate perfectly. That's how you become a teacher or a professor. That's how you get a
I mean, I,
degree.
I would partially agree with that. However, I mean, for me, again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I take some sort of, I have some sort of faith in the science community that they do actually run tests, that they run experiments, that they look
Can
at
you
things, that they
can you
don't
name one
just
that proves the
read
Earth is a
books.
globe? You win 3 Bitcoins if you can.
So what? So what is? So the competition is what? Sorry, the prize is
One
what?
proof
Three
that the Earth is a
bitcoins.
globe, you get 3 Bitcoins.
One proof.
The Earth is a globe.
I was trying to work out if I could. The cost of a bitcoin is
It's a
enough to.
hundred grand.
Well, I mean, there's people from really. What about? I mean, okay. So if I stick up a weather balloon far enough to take a photo of the globe, you'll give me 3 bitcoins.
Sure, as long as it doesn't have a fisheye lens and it's a real picture. But I can save you the
Really?
effort. Yeah. Well, you'd have to
Well,
prove that the Earth
I mean,
is a sphere.
there's students in university in the UK that did this
So
recently. So but
you
is that would that
you
be would that
obviously
be
don't know
proof?
what a fisheye lens is because that
No,
picture
no, no, no,
is a
no.
fisheye
I'm
lens. This
saying
is higher than their balloon, okay, and it's flat, and the sun is
so.
local. It's right there.
So sorry, like, man, you moved on already. So what would you need in terms of equipment though? So you'd need to see the equipment before I did it.
Well, if you send a balloon up, what is it showing you? Listen,
Hey, no, 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 no. I'm asking you like because I seriously may look to do this. So what? because 3 Bitcoins is worth
You
a
have
fair
to
bit of
prove
cash
the Earth
now,
is a
right?
globe 24,901 miles around.
So what? No, but okay. So you wouldn't believe it if the image just showed the globe, what it could show from a photo
Where's
taken
the
from a
curvature
high
here?
point. So I'm not asking about that. I want to understand the rules around your 3 Bitcoins. This is what I
You
want to
have to
understand.
prove the Earth is a globe with a scientific proof. That's what it is.
So not images, nothing scientific. What do you consider scientific though?
Well, anything that has that you can scientifically prove, you have to have a variable, an independent. You have to have a, a thesis and an independent variable, and then you have to test, and it has to be just real science. So, I'm just trying to while I'm talking here, I was trying to show you something. The because
I got
I'll
to
save you.
I got
It's been done for you already. It's been done, like the Red Bull space jump.
Oh
It
yeah, I remember. Oh, but you're saying that wasn't curved because it's a fisheye lens, is what you're saying
yeah,
in
here
the
it
Red
is.
Bull
Here it
jump.
is. So
Yeah,
here,
I've seen
here's here
the Red
here.
Bull jump.
Yeah. And so, do you think that was
I can't. Is this
proof?
what this is? Sorry, I'm seeing an image of a sun and a load of
No, no, that's
a
just
load of
that's a
cloud.
regular. Yeah, that's a regular one. I'm trying to. There it is. Um, so this is the famous picture that everyone says there. That's the globe, right? This is at 127,670 feet. And here, that sure looks like curvature, but here's the problem. Where's the ocean? And so we zoomed in on this picture from Red Bull and all of these rivers and landmarks. We realized that this is all um, Arizona. Is it Arizona or where did it take
Yeah,
off?
so that
This is
so
all
that
one
is a
state.
fisheye. That's a fisheye lens, right?
Yeah.
Which means it's accentuating the curve that you're looking at, right?
No, it's creating a curve. It's not accentuating the curve,
Well,
right?
if it's creating the curve, why are you not seeing the curve on the capsule? You're only seeing it on the like it's
Yeah, well, I'll show you. There is curve on the capsule, but here's him getting in on here's the horizon with the camera that's inside, right? This one didn't have a fisheye lens, and he gets
mm,
in, and then when he's at 127,000 feet, the horizon's at the exact same level. The horizon that camera doesn't move. The horizon didn't drop at all at 127,000 feet, right? How much should it have dropped? Well, according to Globe Math, right? At that 127,000 feet, he should see 618 miles. That's how far the horizon would be if the Earth is a globe. The drop would be 250,000 feet. But at that distance, the horizon should be 381,000 feet below him, right? But it's still at the exact same level when he got in.
okay, cool.
Yeah.
You convinced me.
Welcome
I've
to
got to
Flat Earth. There you go. Welcome to Flat Earth, man. That was easy.
I, I've got to get onto a work call
All
in
right,
about
man.
3 minutes. So
Thanks for your time.
no worries. Okay.
All right. Have a
All
good
right,
day.
Dave. Take care.
All
Yeah.
right.
I'll yeah, cool. All right. All the best. Cheers.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.